What a fun way to start our service. You guys need a box of tissue? We have plenty? Okay. I'll get you those in a minute. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Amy Firestein, and I share leadership of today's service with the Reverend Dr. Kathy Ellis, and, as you just heard, our very special guests, the Harrisburg Gay Men's Chorus. And we thank you for that wonderful song to start us off. I take this moment to welcome everyone to celebrate in the transformative power of religious community. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. And we are glad to have so many members present to join in the festive hanging of the greens activities. We invite you to join us for coffee hour following this morning's service. For those present, we hope you will join us downstairs in the common room. For those online, we have a Zoom coffee hour. The link was sent to you in this morning's email. Online or in person, we are glad you're here.
So the theme for the month of December is mystery. And the theme for today is hanging of the greens and Advent. And we're going to be doing things and moving around. I want to call us briefly into a centered place before we begin our moving around. We are made of stardust, and we come from the forest, from the ocean, from the desert and the plains, through time and mystery, We come to wonder and to bring and receive the gift of life and love. We come again to this place to remember, to hope, to give thanks, to celebrate, to create, especially this morning, to create, to love, and to learn to love together. So come, let us worship together. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, we light a chalice to mark our coming together in community. As Amy lights the chalice, deep calls unto deep, joy calls unto joy, light calls unto light. Let the kindling of this flame rekindle us in the inner light of love, of peace, of hope. And as one flame lights another, nor grows the less, we pledge ourselves to be bearers of that light wherever we are.
Y'all forgot one of your tissues, I think. When I moved to this area in 2002, the housing market was very tight. My resources just coming out of grad school were limited, and I had less than 2 days to find a home. The home I bought was nearly 100 years old, and it had great bones, but not a lot else to recommend it. During the next 5 years, I did some of the less expensive things like fixing plastered walls that had many cracks, painting, put in a little carpet, refinished other floors. I added a few grounded electrical plugs. How unique. And during that time, I grew accustomed to some of the home's less than desirable attributes. But I dreamed of the day when I could change those. Eventually, I was able to hire someone to renovate the less than stellar kitchen. For the before, think dropped ceilings, fluorescent lights, mustard yellow walls and countertops, and a bad layout where you had to go around things to get from one side to the other. That old kitchen functioned sort of, at least as much as I needed it to, but as the first room that most folks saw when they came into my house, it wasn't very welcoming. By the time we needed to move, I'd also renovated the 1950s style bathroom, replaced the rotting balcony, installed new HVAC, a few other things, and the home was easy to sell. Our beloved church building is a lot like my first home here. It has good bones, but the entryway could be a little more inviting. Much of the carpet is worn. The lighting and electrical doesn't meet 21st century needs. The heating and air conditioning in many of the side rooms is poor, and much of it is just, well, tired. We fixed a few things like the roof, we've done a little bit of painting, but it's time to address some of the more significant issues. Many of us have grown accustomed to stained carpet, but we need to make our church home more welcoming, to outfit it for the next generation. Did you notice the words in the first verse of the song that we just sang? You might have to do a little interpretation of some of the Old English, but it says this: people look east. The time is near the crowning of the year. Make your house as fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. For members my age and older, we need to replace some of the things we've worn out over the last few decades. And we need input and help from the younger generations about how to make this a better home for them and for those who will follow them. And to paraphrase what Brad Byers said so ably a few weeks ago, it really is not about the structure itself, but the sense of home and sanctuary it provides for people like us who have and will continue to gather here, to gather for comfort, for community, to question, for inspiration and celebration. Can I just add my own note of celebration? You may not be able to tell given who I am, but I am ecstatic to be able to talk to you today. Yeah, you're right. I leave most of that to Margie, but anyway. To be able to talk to you today about our moving into a capital campaign, given the very different conversations we were having less than a year ago, or a little more than a year ago. I'm truly proud to be a member of this amazing congregation that could so ably move through and beyond those difficult days and now looks to our future. Then just one or two reminders. We have two very important meetings about how we might make our house as fair as we are able. Please join us downstairs today, enjoy some food, and then attend the 12:15 meeting to learn the good news on the results of the financial feasibility study, the current status of some of the hoped-for renovations, and proposed motions regarding the campaign. And then we'll meet right back here at noon next Sunday for a congregational meeting to vote on those motions. Your voice, your participation are very important as we decide how we are going to move into the next generation of UCH. Thank you.
Advent is the first season of the Christian liturgical year. The word Advent means coming or arrival. So for Christians, Advent is the season awaiting the birth of Jesus, or theologically, the coming of light and love into the world. This season of darkness, of the shortest days of the year, is a time when many traditions wait for and celebrate the solstice and the return of light. In Jewish tradition, a menorah is lighted for the 8 days of Hanukkah to remember that oil should have run out, but instead lasted and brought continued light. We do have a menorah, but we're not lighting it yet because Hanukkah doesn't start until December 7th. Pagans light a Yule log to conquer the darkness, banish evil spirits, and bring luck into the coming year. Some thought that the Yule log actually enticed the sun to return. Maybe we should light it today. And that the Yule log could bring good luck into the new year. This year, Hindus celebrated Diwali on November 12th because they are based on a lunar calendar. Diwali symbolizes spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance. So light in the darkness is one of the most important symbols of this season and for human beings. We have, since ancient times, gathered in the darkness, gathered in community to bring light and love into the world and to celebrate the possibilities. We long for healing and wholeness. We long for peace. Last year I told you, I don't know what's going on with the mic here. Last year I told you that the Advent season is the Advent. Well, I don't know. The Advent season is hard. Things go wrong. People get sick. It is the cold and fugue season. Yes. So, in this season, as we light the candles for hope and later for peace and serenity, love and joy, I ask you to also to remember to take care of yourselves. So we reflect on hope, faith, love, serenity, and joy, and maybe bring the birth of our higher selves. As Amy lights, I think it's a purple one, Amy, not the pink one. Pink one comes last. Will you join the Advent lighting response with me? We join with others through time and beyond time in the practice of repairing the world.
Change is possible.
May it be so. We give thanks for the role models of the past and the leaders of the future.
We light the candle for hope.
May it be so. Corey?
Good morning. Good morning. I hope you all are as excited being here today as I am. It's craft day. We're decking the hall. So we have over here, Teresa will help us make roses for our tree, and the rest will be stars. We have an etching star, and we have the wooden star, and there's two sides, so you can decorate both sides. And Erin is in charge of that table. And then over here we have Bridget, who's helping us with wire stars. Now I recommend that for older kids and all adults. So you're all welcome to join us in the craft making and decorating our tree. Now today I have a story titled Older Than the Stars by Karen C. Fox. You are older than the dinosaurs, older than the earth, older than the sun and all the planets. You are as old as the universe itself. Do we have slides for this? Yeah.
Okay, I guess we don't.
All right, so I invite you all to close your eyes. And as I read this, just think of them in your mind. So billions of years ago, the universe popped into existence. It was smaller than a speck of dust, but so heavy that no one could have picked it up. Suddenly, bang! The tiny universe swelled up like the fastest growing bubble ever. It grew millions of times bigger in the blink of an eye. This is the bang, when the world began. The universe grew and grew. As it grew, tiny bits called protons, neutrons, and electrons formed. The bits whizzed here and there, back and forth, around and around like a bunch of bees. The bits zigged this and zagged that way, and sometimes they bumped into each other. When this happened, they stuck together and formed something called atoms. Almost everything in the world is made of atoms. They are the building blocks of the universe. These are the blocks that formed from the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Over millions of years, gravity pulled the atoms together until they grew into enormous clouds that were the size of galaxies. This is the gas in a giant puff. that spun from the blocks, that formed from the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Inside each giant cloud, gravity pulled the atoms together. It got more and more crowded. When the two atoms crashed into each other, they melted together or fused in the burst of light and heat, and the cloud became a blazing star. This is the star of the red stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed from the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Okay, you see a pattern. In the heart of the star, the atoms kept crowding into each other, and every time two smaller atoms fused together, they formed a bigger atom. These are the storms, so strong and tough that they formed in the star of the red stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Each star brightly for billions of years, but stars didn't live forever. Whenever a star died, it exploded into a giant fireball called a supernova. The explosion sent all the atoms, big and small, hurtling from the universe in all directions. The blast, intense enough to hurl the atoms so strong and tough that formed in the star of red stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Does anybody want to take this over? So 5 billion years ago, right where our solar system is today, a cloud of atoms formed. At the center of the cloud, atoms fused together, creating light and heat. The center grew hotter and hotter until it formed into a star. That star is our sun. So this is the sun, our daily view, that was born from the dust, so old and so new, thrown from the blast intense enough to hurl the atoms so strong and tough that formed in the star of red-hot stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. Okay. We're getting close. The rest of the stuff in the spinning cloud began to stick together in dusty clumps. Each clump grew bigger and bigger until it turned into a planet. So this is the planet green and blue that circles the sun, our daily view, that was born from the dust, so old and so new, thrown from the blast, intense enough to hurl the atoms so strong and tough that formed in the star of red-hot stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. These are the plants and the animals, too, that grow on the planet green and blue that circles the sun, our daily view, that was born from the dust, so old and so new, thrown from the blast intense enough to hurl the atoms so strong and tough that formed in the star of red-hot stuff that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks and formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. So these are the people just like you who live with the plants and animals too, that grow on the planet green and blue, that circles the sun, our daily view, that was born from the dust, so old and so new, thrown from the blast intense enough to hurl the atoms so strong and tough, that formed in the star of red-hot stuff, that burst from the gas in a giant puff that spun from the blocks that formed in the bits that were born in the bang when the world began. But before any of these atoms helped create the earth, they formed in the stars long ago and far away. You are made from atoms that were made in the stars, that were made from tiny particles that were created when the universe began. You are older than the earth, older than the planets, older than the stars. You are as old as the universe itself. Thank you.
4-part round. So the chorus is going to assist us with this. We're going to split up about halfway here. This is going to be part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4.
How Does One Address a Mystery by Gordon McKeeman. How does one address a mystery? Cautiously. Let us go cautiously then to the end of our certainty, to the boundary of all we know, to the rim of uncertainty, to the perimeter of the unknown which surrounds us. Reverently, let us go with a sense of awe, a feeling of approaching the powerful holy, whose lightning slashes the sky, whose persistence splits concrete with green sprouts, whose miracles are present in every place and moment. Hopefully, out of our need for wholeness in our own lives, the reconciliation of mind and heart, conjunction of reason and passion, the intersection of the timeless with time. Quietly, for no words will explain the inarticulate or summon the presence that is always present, even in our absence. But what shall I say? Anything. Any anger, any hope, any fear, any joy, any request, any word that comes from the depth of being addressed to being itself. Or perhaps nothing, no complaint, no request, no entreaty, no thanksgiving, no praise, no blame, no pretense of knowledge or of not knowing. Simply be in the intimate presence of mystery, unashamed, unadorned, unafraid. Amen.
Before we hear the musical wonderful voices of the Harrisburg Game Boys Chorus, since they are leading immediately after this song, I wanted just to say again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So as you can tell from the song, and probably knew somewhere along the line, Christmas trees originated in Germany. However, as an American tradition, the Unitarians are largely responsible and also associated with Unitarians' fight for social justice. History. What is it about that spot? Okay, thank you. I don't need that now. So nobody really knows when Yeshua of Nazareth was born. They think Jesus was actually a real person and actually was born, but it's a mystery. And it certainly wasn't December 25th. Well, probably not December 25th. Early Western church leaders, Christian church leaders, chose that date for reasons both practical and theological. Theologically, it's 9 months from the spring equinox, and they had a belief that God was bringing the rebirth of the world in spring. The anniversary of the day, they believed, that God said, "Let there be light." Practically, I personally think much more the reason than theologically, is it was already a period widely celebrated. The Romans celebrated Saturnalia, the return of the light. And Christian church leaders wanted to, very often in very many places, take over the pagan things and make them their own. And through the centuries, Christians kept a lot of pagan elements. Christmas kept a lot of pagan elements, but it was not generally a religious holiday and certainly not a family holiday. Instead, it was a lot like the Roman Saturnalia. Stephen Nussbaum wrote a book called The Battle for Christmas, which is a social history of the origin of American Christmas traditions. The battle for Christmas. In New England, for the first couple of centuries, okay, I shouldn't move around, I should just stand right here. For the first couple of centuries of white settlement, most people did not celebrate Christmas. In fact, the Puritans made it illegal to celebrate Christmas in Massachusetts between 1659 and 1681. And we might actually sympathize with those Puritans, for what they were outlawing was nothing at all like our Christmas celebrations now. It was a time of excessive drunkenness, excessive gluttony, rowdy public displays of excessive eating, drinking, mockery of any established authority, aggressive begging. In fact, groups of poorer people would go to wealthy people's houses and barge in and demand stuff. Christmas was the season of misrule, a time when ordinary behavioral restraints could be violated with impunity. Anger, lust, and hunger and wanting greed were all openly, publicly expressed. This was pretty much exactly like the ancient Roman celebration of Saturnalia. Social hierarchy was turned upside down. For Saturnalia, a slave member of the enslaved person in the household would be named master for the day. So it was a time actually when it's probably better to stay home. Yes, actually, we do mostly on Christmas anyway, but by the end of the 18th century, there was a movement, originally started by the Universalists, to reclaim Christmas as both a religious and family holiday. And Nussbaum found beginnings of gift exchanges at that time period. The Universalists openly celebrated Christmas from the beginnings of their existence in New England. And it was the Universalists more than any other that proselytized for Christmas. And the Unitarians were actually right. The New England Unitarians were calling for the public observance of Christmas Day by 1800. They did so in the full knowledge that it was not a biblically sanctioned holiday and that December 25th, I'm sorry again, was probably not the day which Jesus was born. They knew that. They wished to celebrate the holiday not because God ordered them to, but because they wanted to. They just wanted to. And they celebrated it in the hope that their observances might purge the holiday of all its associations with seasonal excess and disorder. Unitarians, especially the Unitarian minister Charles Follin, were responsible for bringing the Christmas tree to America. Follin was a German political radical who had to flee Germany and emigrated to Massachusetts, where he became a professor of German at Harvard, until they fired him just before Christmas for his radical views. He was working for the abolition of slavery. He was, Nussbaum said, a deeply religious man, and he found Unitarianism wholly compatible with his progressive religious beliefs. So, he was a man of extraordinary principle and tenacity, an intellectual and a very effective moral leader. Just before Christmas, that year when he was fired from Harvard, he set up a Christmas tree for his children. And he invited the British radical political writer Harriet Martineau to his home for Christmas. Martineau wrote about what she experienced. She said, "I was present at the introduction into the new country of the German Christmas tree. When she arrived at the house, Follin and his wife were hanging little toys and sweets and candles on the tree before the children came home." She wrote, "Finally, the double doors were thrown open and the children poured in, their voices instantaneously hushed, their faces upturned to their blaze, all lips parted, all steps arrested. No one spoke. Only little Charlie jumped for joy." They were impressed, huh? Martineau expressed the opinion that the Christmas tree ritual would become an American tradition, and she and Follin certainly helped make it so. But the reason they were actually meeting that day was not really about the Christmas trees, but they were political allies fighting to abolish slavery in the United States, and they met that Christmas Eve to plot their strategy. In the 1830s, radical abolitionists held Christmas fairs and promoted Christmas trees to raise money to fight slavery and to promote their message. I never really thought of Christmas trees as being a social justice thing. That's how they started here. The Unitarians and abolitionists were on the vanguard of the new child-centered Christmas. They held annual anti-slavery fairs at Christmas time, promoting a generous gift-giving to children that rewarded children. The emphasis on children was intended to draw listeners to the view that enslaved people who had even fewer rights than children deserved Christian care, generosity, and consideration as human beings who deserved freedom. Unitarians denied, this is part of their heresy, and ours still, denied that human beings were born damned, and they promoted child rearing of loving training rather than the Calvinist style of beating the sin out of the child. These Unitarians wanted to make Christmas a feast for children, and so still today, we honor the potential in children, the possibility of love and peace at Christmas time, love and peace and hope and the return of those things to the world. So may it be so. Amen and Ashe.
I want to take another moment to invite everybody to join a craft table or come join Debbie up here with the greens so that we can decorate the church with greenery. So please don't feel like you have to just sit here. Of course, we're now passing out the plates, so it might be easier for the ushers, but after the ushers have come by, please feel free to get up. That's right. The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by us. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. For the month of December, we are sharing with the Susquehanna Harbor Safe Haven. Susquehanna Harbor Safe Haven is a residential facility offering support and stable housing to men who are or were chronically homeless. It is managed by Christian Churches United of the Tri-County area. The program offers long-term housing within a supportive community for up to 25 formerly homeless men in Dauphin County. If you wish to contribute online, please visit uchbg.org. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able.
I wanted to lift up, I went back to see if there were any joys and sorrows in the basket, which there weren't. And I want to lift up Nan Kavanaugh in joy, really. She had quadruple bypass surgery on Friday, and by yesterday she was sitting up and eating real food, and they're supposed to be getting her to stand up today, and we look forward to having Nan back as the energetic person she was a couple of years ago when she recovers. So you join me in a prayer for this Advent season. In this time of waiting, may we hold the world in our hearts. In this time of waiting, may we hold each other's hands. In this time of waiting, may we be thoughtful and introspective. In this time of waiting, may we delight in the darkness and all it teaches us. In this time of waiting, may we rekindle the fires of hope, love, joy, and peace within ourselves and in the world. In this time of waiting, may we be ready for the coming day. So may it be. Amen.
song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
With everything that was going on, I was afraid that I might talk too long, and so I made my sermon short. Doesn't mean we have to leave the room if you want to continue making crafts, but I invite you to go in peace and love, to take good care of yourselves in cold and fugue season, and go to the about the capital campaign. Blessed be.